Yeah. So now here we are on video, and I have to change my t-shirt more than once a week and get rid of my stupid Uncrustable wrappers, but I'm not giving up my LaCroix whatsoever. I'm not giving up my LaCroix.
Not get no. Not if you love the.
What do you do, LaCroix and Uncrustables?
Listen, listen.
If you like
Let's see what your
LaCroix,
food pyramid looks like.
LaCroix
didn't
is
quite
like
make it.
it's like hint of a peach farting in water or something like that.
You
It's
know
not
what?
real flavor.
You know
You see
what?
peach farting
Yeah,
in
yeah.
water?
A watermelon thought about
Post
being a
peach
drink,
fart
and
bubble
that's what
water.
it tastes like. Tastes like if a watermelon thought about being a drink.
All right. Well, you know what? In that case, let's run it. Here we go.
All right, everybody, welcome to the High Alpha Hooligans. It's your crew again, meeting together, and we're stepping up our game. We have gone from the two-dimensional dark space of recording video, not video, audio only, and we've added video. Today we're talking about controls. Last week we talked about VR, we talked about IR tracking, and how we look at the game. This week we're going to talk about controls. How do we interact with the aircraft, tanks, and everything in DCS? But I'm not doing this by myself, so everybody say hello to first Fifi. Fifi, let's go say hello.
What up?
With the LaCroix in his
Got my
hand.
LaCroix. I'm not giving it up.
I would expect nothing less. All right, now Scud, you're up, bud.
Hello. Wait, that's your line.
There it is.
Hey,
Somebody's got to do it.
Say
We're live. We're live.
We've
All right,
got
so
video.
for everybody watching, these are the High Alpha Hooligans. Say hi, Hooligans.
Hi, hooligans.
There we go.
Is that what the kids do nowadays?
Like you got to do like this.
That was Madonna a long time ago. Now it's
Yeah.
Oh,
So if you guys haven't decided to unsubscribe just yet,
the
please-
eyebrow.
if you want to see Scott do more eyebrow dances, possibly see his belly button, and then watch Jimmy stroke his beard,
Well,
please,
it's gonna happen.
yeah, please like, subscribe, and comment, and join in on the discussions. Join the Discord that we got going on. We had a lot of really cool discussions in the Discord, I think, and I think that's something that we should probably definitely go to start talking about some of the stuff that people have been suggesting, and yeah, and have a lot of fun with it. So kicking the episode off, let's start with a debrief. Since you guys both missed a sortie last night, Scott, you were working. Jimmy, you were probably slacking off somewhere, I think, throwing pizza.
I was working.
Yeah,
No,
But,
actually, it was pizza.
it was pizza. Yeah, throwing pizza. Man, if you guys are all
I have a terrible job, so you know.
Do you like?
Yeah.
Do you throw the dough and spin it in the air and?
So
Yeah.
sometimes we do, like when it's fresh and it's still like not completely set, you have to like toss a little bit and they put it down on the screen. Otherwise it like shrinks on the screen. The alternate is you just put it down and you go, bop, bop, kind of like put it in its place.
you ever see that guy?
I am that guy.
Yeah, like, no, the Papa John's dude that's like really loud and obnoxious, and he always talks about pizza.
Sounds
And
like
he's like
Jimmy.
super violent with it when he like starts cutting it. And he's like, "So you know," but he's like, "A pizza," like Okay, just me.
We'll venture into that one on our, behind the scenes episode.
Yeah, right. So, so yeah, first topic. So Milsim story last night. So flying with the 211. You guys obviously weren't there for it,
No.
but I think so. We had a really cool moment where it was just me and Spy Balloon, and I got to give this guy so much credit, man. Like this guy shows up. He shows up like every day that we fly.
You're hungry.
And he like, yeah, and he's so
hungry,
he's
hungry.
So good. So we flew our favorite mission, the Seed profile.
Love seed.
And so I was like, let me just throw him in the deep end because I am that confident in how awesome I am as a flight lead that yeah.
That's a bold move.
Yeah, I just gotta just stay in, but and we went up against an SA-10, two ship SA-10, and man, we flew that profile so perfect, and we did a one passer on it, and so flew in. He actually ended up busting the mez before I did, and entered the bubble, got shot at, fired.
Well, or you guys are split, right?
Yeah, we did the split. So we did this. We did the split. I gotta get used to
axis.
actually like talk with my hand now. But yeah, we did that, and we did the split, and then he turned in first, and then man, if I only had like a plane on a stick that I can like do this with. But there it is. But yeah, we
going
did the
straight to
split,
eBay.
the off axis attack. I think we were about 90 degrees off from each other. It wasn't a huge one. And shot the he shot the harm as soon as he got shot at. That thing fired like 4 missiles at him. He defended pretty aggressively. And then I was able to shoot a harm, and I watched my harm track all the way in, and I was like, oh, it's not even looking at me still. So I was like, I guess I'm just gonna do this. And so I rippled off all 4 GB38s on it and turned out. And then he was like kind of upset because he was like, oh man, I didn't get to do anything except for shoot the harm, and it's already defeated. And I'm like, nah, man, go in there and drop the bombs on it, because that's just extra shit that we got to carry back to the boat. So,
But yeah,
so
see,
that's what we did.
there's
was a lot of fun.
always, if you do that right, if you split it, and the idea is that the radar is going to look at one of you and the other one's clear to shoot.
Yeah.
Whoever the radar's looking at, like, just because you didn't kill the target doesn't mean you weren't huge in the mission success. Because once it's looking at you, you just get in the mez a little, take a missile shot, pop out, pop back in. Like you're taking missiles so that the other guy can have an uninterrupted weapons fest on top of them. Just sound
Yeah.
Worked really well. So yeah, he's definitely a seed bro now.
good.
Like nailed it. First shot.
That
nailed
is-
it.
Yeah,
Go for
that
it.
seed profile it's so good no matter what you're flying. And
Yeah.
it's crazy how it's so simple, and it's like the first time you do it, like, oh my gosh, this just makes so much sense.
Yeah, and it's funny because like the last time when we kind of flew like a similar scenario, we did like a 2-parter. We flew with some other people from another squadron, and
A different airframe.
I'm not going to talk crap. I'm not going to talk crap. I love them. They were super awesome for showing up, and it was a new flight lead. So he admitted in the debrief, you know, like, because you know how debriefs are, you know, you got to be brutal on yourself. And he was like, yeah, it's my first time really being flight lead and stuff like that. I'm still getting used to it, and kind of got sucked in. And yeah, they ate some missiles to the face during that. And so I was like, man, I got to do this. And shame on me. I did when Glue and I flew the profile, the initial profile for like the demo, so that way I had a recording for the brief and stuff like that. I may have been petty and dropped it over in their Discord and been like, you know, so you guys could see this. Here it is.
Here's what
like,
it's supposed to look like.
And so I gotta own that.
That's why you
But,
do training, though. Okay? You go ahead and get your ass kicked, and then figure out where you did wrong and
100%.
do better.
That's part of the MILSIM. That's definitely part of like that military style culture that we.
Oh,
Web tech that shit.
well, no, it is.
Yeah.
And like, I'll expound on that a little. Like when I taught in the 38, if I wasn't flying 2 or 3 times a day, at least the student had 2 or 3 events a day. So you get like 30 minutes to brief, you go fly, you come back, and you've got maybe 30 minutes to debrief before they're in their next brief. So you don't have time to break down the whole sortie, and you don't have time to build them up and pat them on the head. Like you've got enough time to be like, these are the 3 things you sucked at the most. It was a really good flight. You did great. Here's the 3 things you suck at. Here's how to fix them. Questions? All right. Next. They're like, you get really used to only hearing about where you suck.
You forgot my
how
jalapeno
to
corn,
suck
by the way.
less.
Yeah, you forgot my
It's
jalapeno
it's
corn
the-
before we showed up.
Jalapeno coin.
Yeah, jalapeno corn.
Oh yeah, that's
You
a
can't tell me
whole
you never-
discussion. That's a whole discussion.
I thought
my
you said
God.
coin. I was like, jalapeno coin? You got a jalapeno challenge coin?
Yeah,
like,
it's just like a little jalapeno, right?
Corn. Dude, if the
Yeah.
if the coffee and corn isn't ready in the morning, the whole flight gets stood up, man. It's
Yeah.
over.
But then I rolled over to Chaos. Actually, Jimmy like hosted like a little training night, a Hornet training night, and that was fun. We went up and kind of raged doing some air.
that was completely different. That was ground up training.
Yeah.
We did. Oh, Scott, you'd be proud. I whiteboarded, busted out the whiteboard.
I fell asleep.
You know,
I fell asleep
talked-
in my brief.
I think you were off. I heard your microwave going off or something. You're like, oh, this guy's getting a snack.
Yeah, actually, I was on the training server looking for a C-130 to fly while you were briefing, but there wasn't one.
The
Yeah.
Dirty 30.
LaCroix.
Dude.
LaCroix is in 130s.
You'll love this then, Fifi. I just got back from flying a trip, and the captain was an AC-130 gunship guy in his past.
Oh,
Mm.
he probably knows where I live. Like, yeah. Hey, you guys fly right over my house every day in the
Wow.
pattern.
In the past,
So-
like
What it sounded like
a decade ago, but still.
He did.
Yeah. So he probably flew like U models.
He did. Yep. U models.
Yeah.
Well, I guess today we're going to talk about HOTAS, kind of follow up last episode about, visuals, and pick this one up with some
Yeah.
HOTAS.
You mean hands-on throttle and stick?
Hands-on throttle and stick. You want to,
Yeah,
you want to
people's
explain
control
where that comes from?
setups. Yeah. Because both of us were definitely fighter pilots, Scud.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I did fly a HOTAS airplane. The 38's still a HOTAS. The idea behind HOTAS is to put all the major functions you need when you're in a fight on the stick and throttle, and you don't have to take your hands off the stick or the throttle and manipulate as many buttons. The Viper's a really good example of it. The Hornet's not bad.
Yeah.
So in the sim world, DCS world, when we say HOTAS, we just mean you have a stick and throttle with lots of buttons on it so that you can employ the airplane in that type of way. But
The Viper is
go ahead.
I was going to say Viper is perfect example of that, because you just literally one button gunfight override mode, missile override mode. You can literally change every MFD, your HUD, and your weapon selection just off of that one off that one button.
Yeah,
That's the one.
and
That's the one.
Yeah,
thing I'm
that's-
jealous
It's
about.
simplified in the Viper. It's pretty good in the Hornet. And if you want to go down a rabbit hole, you learn the A10 HOTAS, because oh my god, that thing's pages and pages of what all the different buttons do. Did I hold it? Did I
Too
press it
many
long?
ha-
Did I press it short? Like it's
No,
Is it short press, long press? Like,
oh my gosh, it's
I'm
a beast.
too smooth brain. Too smooth brain.
wait, what's soy? You
No
know, like
bumps and
where's
lumps.
where's the
Okay.
birthday cake at right now? Because it also like factors into every button that you press.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
wild. But yeah,
So,
so
go
like
ahead, Fifi.
go for it. Yeah, so we could talk about we could talk about like our favorites, what we use, because I think it would probably be easiest to talk to what we use and like different price points there are, because I think between us three, we definitely have an extremely wide variety of from $60 setups to $600 setups for HOTASs.
Yeah, I think
um,
that's a good idea.
for control setups and things like that, because we definitely span that. And I'm proud to be on the lower end because I'm a cheap bastard. I got to pay these Florida home insurance prices. So
You got that flood insurance.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, you want to start like we did last time, start kind of at the beginning and the bottom, because I think the first question when it comes to control setups, one of the first questions we hear from people who are new to the game is, can I play this on an Xbox controller? Because that's what they have. And buying a HOTAS is an investment. And generally the answer is yes, you can play it on an Xbox controller, but there's going to be super limitations. I have not flown the game on an Xbox controller, but Jimmy has.
yeah,
I have. And it's funny, my Xbox controller is right down here beside me right now. So can you fly DCS, every module out there, on a Xbox controller? And the answer is absolutely yes, you can. It's got 3 axes, because you got stick, and then the rudder pedals, the bumpers at the top, those are also axes. They're like one, so it's kind of weird with how those ones act. But as we've talked about in previous episodes, I like to play SimCity with DCS, and I build missions. When I test, I have a laptop and it has a built-in webcam. So I use the free AI track for my head tracking, and I use an Xbox controller, and I sit on my couch and I fly DCS just like this while watching, America's Got Talent or whatever, is on TV at that time.
He watches Below Deck.
And
hey, dude,
Look,
hey, don't,
actually,
no,
never watched- I've never watched Below Deck,
No,
but there's a show Trader, and one of the girls that was on the first season, Kate, she was a menace in that show. She was on Below Deck. So I want to go back and like see her season. I don't even know what Below Deck is, but this girl was such a menace on Traders that I want to go back and rewatch that.
Below
open a
Deck
can
was
of worms.
such a good show. My dad got me
Dude,
that show.
if you guys haven't seen Traders, you got to check it out. That is absolute.
I like watching Love Is
Fire.
Blind and trying to figure out who the villain every season is from the beginning.
Oh no.
And they're so good at hiding.
Flavor of Love. Flavor of love.
Oh, dude,
That
that
is
was
it.
classic. That was so classic.
I thought you would deny it, and both of you guys are just like, "Oh hell yeah, absolutely!" All these shows.
Trash reality TV, absolutely. This is
That
coming
was
from
not the
someone
trap
who
I thought I
also,
was setting. So
yeah. You know what? But trash reality TV, Drive to Survive. Like
Oh.
we've both,
Yeah, you got to be
we've
careful with the 40-year-olds that you talk to, because we have some very refined taste in
yes,
entertainment.
very refined.
I'm not 40 yet. I'm in denial that I'm still only 37, so I'm okay.
Oh,
Back to the podcast though.
yes.
Yeah.
Xbox controller, absolutely. And I think everybody within like plus or minus 3 generations of us will have an Xbox controller or something, PlayStation controller sitting around. And yes, you can fly on DCS. You can have fun. You can get in. And the only thing you're going to create is a need for, flying up here with your thumbs and then occasionally go down to your keyboard to hit gear, flaps, things of that nature, because you just cannot pack it all into a stick. Completely possible. If you want to try it, grab your Xbox controller, download it. Everything's free at that point, and see if you like it.
I think that's a really good thing. Is if you're interested in the game, like we talked about with modules, there's free ones. We've talked about head tracking. There's some free options. If you have an Xbox controller, don't go drop the money on a stick and a HOTAS until you at least give the game a try and see if it's something you like. And then, like we've already said, once you realize this is the end all of flying games, then you're going to end up falling and slipping down the slippery slope and spending all the money.
Yep. Very slippery slope.
Evie, look like you have something to.
Yeah, like it just 2 and 2, like light bulb moment. Don't blame me, blame my TBI. But how using the Xbox controller for like combined arms, does that work pretty well?
I do actually. Dog and I were actually on the other night, and we were driving Abrams around just killing each other. And you can use an Xbox controller. The reason my Xbox controller is sitting beside my sim pit is because when I would jump in to drive a Bradley or an SA anything or a Vulcan, the Vulcan's like super fun to just sit there and go. But yeah, straight up Xbox controller. One side drives, the other one's my turret. So
Noted. Don't fly below 10,000 feet when Jimmy's on the server.
Yeah,
he's like,
noted.
"Combined arms."
you can ask Dog. I actually got Dog in a Mosquito his first takeoff. I was just sitting there for like 15 minutes waiting for him to go. And he's like just starting to rotate. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I can see.
it's so satisfying for me.
Yes, yeah. I wish I was there to see that. All right, so
what's funny is,
go ahead.
yeah. So what's funny is like the step up from the Xbox controller is actually another like Xbox PlayStation controller. It's called like the HOTAS 1. That was my very first HOTAS in the game, and I paid $60 for it, brand new. And my favorite thing about it was the fact it didn't have any buttons whatsoever on it, right? So I was very keyboard.
It has 16. It has 16.
It has 16. Okay, but my favorite thing about it was on the backside of the throttle, how it had the little rudder axis on the backside of the throttle, and it was like rudder pedals for your hands. And that was that HOTAS lured me into a false sense of security for flying helicopters, because I was able to like really manipulate it. And then I tried to fly the Hind, and I immediately ran away from helicopters really quickly after all that. But
now that we know the truth,
but that was really
fun.
fun. It was like $60. It didn't last very long because the potentiometer went out, and it started having like that ghost input drift issue between when I would like start snap rolling everywhere.
So I got something for that actually. So when you get those less expensive HOTASs like the Logitech
Saytech
Thrustmaster T-Flight 1. The Saytech. When you get to the Logitech 3D Pro, the Extreme 3D Pro, it's the same thing, just different sticker. Those less expensive HOTASs, like the first thing that you really talk to when you like boil it down and you start looking at buying equipment, you look at the sensor, because those more inexpensive, cheaper HOTASs, they have a cup and ball. So they have a plastic cup, plastic ball, a layer of grease, and there's a sensor at the bottom, and cup in the balls. So as that cup and ball, articulate, that's where you get your axis input from. And the reason you get that stick drift is, plastic on plastic is never going to last. So over time that, degrades, and that's why you get the slop in the stick. That's why you get that ghosting, that drifting. So when you start looking at HOTASs, there's some options out there that are like $200-$300, but they still use a cup and ball. If they still use a cup and ball, you got to walk away.
I can't take this conversation seriously.
It is exactly what it is.
Child. I'm so
sorry. It is called a cup and ball.
Yeah. So as we move,
Yeah.
I'm being mature about this.
as we move up though into the actual stick stuff, there are really affordable options. I'm gonna throw back Facebook Marketplace. Dude, I found like an old Microsoft Sidewinder force feedback stick for, I don't know, $30 on there. Granted,
Nice.
it's not something I fly with. I just wanted to try force feedback, 2 years ago and see how it worked. So there's cheap options.
How was it?
It's good enough. Like it's a very
Just for $30.
very numb version of what we're flying now with Jimmy, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
It didn't have enough
Yeah.
buttons. That was the problem. It just didn't have enough HOTAS
Yeah.
buttons. But there are options to get
You know
you
what-
into a stick cheap. And then I'm not going to go through all of them. There's tons of like joystick options that are really affordable that will last you a little while, and it's long enough to try it out in the game. And then there's a few we'll talk about because we all have experience with them. As you start to climb into a real HOTAS with buttons and an actual set of throttles that are separate from the stick with buttons on that instead of just a little throttle axis on the stick. That's where you start moving into something like SATEC. And SATEC has a few various options. I have a SATEC that I use as a collective, an old X45, but I can't really talk to it as a flying stick. But Fifi, you fly in a SATEC now, right?
Yeah, I have an X52, X52 Pro, because I guess that just because it's like a silver color on it instead. So I love it. It's got plenty of buttons. It's got like 2 hats and stuff like that. Now that I'm running my track IR and stuff like that, it's got plenty of stuff on it. I can pretty much fully run a Viper or a Hornet in it. With it, it's got tons of Gucci stuff, and then it's got the twist. It's a twist stick as well, so that way if you don't have rudder pedals and stuff like that, you can do everything with it. I love it. It's fantastic. Like, it's really ergonomic. It's really comfortable to use. I can really like fine tune my flying with it. It's sensitive enough, I guess you could say, to where it will, give you those fine motor inputs for it. And yeah, I love this stick. Like, I paid like $160 for it, and it's a stick and throttle, and I really don't have any complaints about it. The only downside is when I'm, like, obviously it's daytime right now, but like, when we're flying at night and I have like a dark room going and stuff like that, like, it glows blue. I don't know if I can like grab it and bring it over here. Let me see if I can get off the mount. Yeah. But the problem is it glows blue in the middle of the night.
It's RGB.
Dude, and it will blind me, and you guys will be like, do you see that at night? Like, do you see me with my lights on? And I'm like, I'm looking, I swear, I can't see it. Let me just block out I gotta wear sunglasses when I fly with it. But other than that, I freaking love it. Like, it's great. It's fantastic.
What would you say aside from the glowing lights, are there drawbacks to it?
Not really. It's tall. I really don't
Handsome.
have any. Yeah. I guess I'm starting to get some of the ghost inputs actually on the throttle side on some of like the scrolly wheelie axis. It will I have to throw the dead zone out quite a bit because it gets kind of jumpy with that. So sometimes when I'm like when I'm using, I might have to swap my zoom axis for when we're flying, because sometimes that will get really jumpy and I'm like trying to punch buttons or something like that, or zoom in on something, and it's like jumping in and out on me. So
Yeah.
But I've had this set up for like $160 and it's lasted almost like 2 years now. So
Good. Yeah.
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right with it still.
The potentiometers are where you get the drift. I had drift
Right.
in the X45. Jimmy talked about some. You've talked about some. So as you look at different HOTAS, Jimmy's talked about this. He talked about the articulation and what causes what causes the axis to move. Where you start to get away from that is going up a level in HOTAS, and that is to a stick that uses Hall's effect devices instead of potentiometers. There's no drift on that, and they're substantially more precise. I upgraded from the X45 to the Thrustmaster Warthog, and the stick and throttle combo is like $500 for them both together. Fantastic. It was a huge jump in playability with the Hall's effect devices. And the stick feels phenomenal. It doesn't feel like it's made of plastic. It feels like a grip you'd find in an actual airplane. It feels like what the T-38 stick felt like. It feels like it's made of, metal, and much of it is.
Yeah.
The throttle
Feels heavy.
It does. It is.
It's
Yeah,
made of
it is
heavy.
heavy. The
Yeah.
throttles less so. The throttles have less of a realistic feel, and they're a little bit more plastic feeling. And there's some issues in them that I've had to work through. Some wobbly throttles and a few other things. If you have a Warthog from a long time ago, the TDC, the little nipple that you move your finger on to move the TDC around, that sucks. I actually replaced it with it's like a PlayStation Xbox controller stick. The newer Thrustmasters, I think, have that upgraded stick on them,
Yeah.
which is a lot better. Fantastic throttle and stick combo. If you're willing to spend, $500 on it. I'd say the only downside, there really wasn't a downside to it. Like I aside from the throttle issues, the stick itself, there was almost no downside I could see to the stick. Until I flew something that didn't have a center detent. That's the only thing I'll kind of say on that. It absolutely incredible. Probably what I recommend if you're not wanting to spend $1,000 on a HOTAS setup is to go with that one. It does have a centering spring, and so there's a definitive center detent that it moves out of. If I flew with the stick extension, so the center detent and spring were not really strong. A lot of people complain that it's a lot of stick force and that you can find weaker springs to put in there. Jimmy, you flew on it. You have any thoughts on the Warthog?
So the Thrustmaster Warthog, great segue, Scud. And to go back to what you said before, the Thrustmaster Warthog is all over the used market.
Oh yeah, it is.
You can find them on eBay. You can find them on Facebook Marketplace. All of those. You can find a set usually between $200 and $300. That's pretty much what all of my friends have gone to playing with, and they've all got them off the secondhand market, and none of them have ever had a problem.
I feel like that's like the Honda Civic of stick. Like everybody's got one.
Reliable,
of premium.
Forever. Yeah.
Yep, it does last forever. You hit it. It is a spring centered. Have you ever taken yours apart?
Yes.
The spring is thick. One thing that you didn't mention that I would piggyback on that is awesome about Thrustmaster is Thrustmaster uses the same connections as Virpil.
Yeah.
So if you find, Facebook Marketplace, a Thrustmaster base for, $50, you can go shopping for the Thrustmaster F-16 stick, the Hornet stick, the
A10.
what's the other one that they have?
Tomcat.
Yeah, you can get all those sticks from
Wait,
Thrustmaster.
Tomcat stick?
Yeah. Or
I do it just to sit there
With
and
the
be able to
guns.
flip from
Yep.
the
the guns. Too close for missiles. Switching at guns. Click, click.
yeah. Or you can go to Virpil and you can find that Virpil stick, or vice versa. You can find a cheap Virpil base and get a Thrustmaster stick. It's all interchangeable between those two companies because they use the same connectors.
Yeah.
So you can really fine tune that experience. So, and I do, out of everything I've flown on, I would say Thrustmaster is absolutely the most hardy. That is the AMC Eagle of the premium HOTAS for the digital flight environment.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
No, it's an outstanding stick. You're right, and it is hardy.
Does it catch on
Yeah.
fire?
Forever.
Does it catch on fire when it's rear-ended?
No, that's a Pinto.
No, it's in the garage.
That's the Pinto, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Good stick. Lots on the used market. You're right. There are some other
what she
options.
said,
I don't have a lot of familiarity with them, but there's a lot of people that talk good about Virpil, which is in a similar price range, maybe a little bit more money. They are kind of a center spring, but it's a cam system, and you can get rid of it's still centered, but you can get rid of the detent, which I've heard makes the game a lot easier, a lot better to fly. I can attest to that with the Moza, but I don't have experience with Virpil.
I got a buddy who's
Virpil is, Virpil's good. It's more commercial feeling because the rubber grips are more rubbery. It's less metal, a little bit lighter, and I don't know how to describe it. The throttles are great. The grips on the throttles are big. It just reminds me of if I was to just summarize it, Thrustmaster Warthog is military aviation, and then Virpil is pretty much everything. It's more of a commercial feel to it. A little bit more rubbery, more sticky, more tactile.
You could say having a Virpil is like having a Lexus showing up to a Toyota dealership.
That is Actually, a really
But
good
I-
analogy.
But I have
Vertical's really good though.
It's still the same
Yeah,
thing
Bert's-
underneath, but you know,
Bro, get that ES300 Camry in here. We'll get that thing oil to be changed in 5 minutes.
right? Yeah, you spent $30,000 more on.
Yeah.
How's them heated seats, baby?
I can't talk. Like I've never had a Lexus. I had an Audi once, and then I got rid of that really quick. But anyways.
I had a Lexus, and mine was a lemon. It broke all the time, and I got rid of it. And I still miss that car. I wish I could get another one like it that wasn't a lemon because it was so awesome. But it was a lemon. It was a LS 460, and it was a
Really?
lemon. Yeah, it was.
Wow.
It parked itself. It did all kinds of crazy shit, and then every little thing broke on it all the time. Anyways,
Just join us and get a raggedy old Jeep. Drive that thing around.
I have a Jeep. It's not raggedy, but
See, it's got to be raggedy.
I had an 82 CJ7 that had the floor pans were rusted out. Well, I've been there. I've done
Well,
that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go.
To not belabor and get too deep into all these, there are a lot of options in that centering spring style $500 to $600 price range. So just do your homework and figure out what you like. Reddit's good for that stuff. We'll move up one more level, at least what I think is one more level. Go ahead. Do you have something else?
If I could
Yeah,
piggyback.
absolutely.
One thing we didn't
Oh, he
One
did it.
company
He did
that
the
we-
piggyback.
dude, I'm telling you, I'm a great first sergeant. Hey, to piggyback, guys, come on, we're going into the weekend.
Jimmy's the reason why you have to
Oh.
be 15 minutes early to the 15-minute early appointment.
No, I don't care. Just be on time. Be on time or don't be. That's it. So the one thing I would kind of point everybody towards, and this is not a stick that I've only used it one time. I just know the technology, the quality, and the product that you get. VKB, they make a phenomenal product. 100%. You get Hall sensors. You get on even their standard Gladiator stick. It has 3 hats up top, has buttons, 3 axes on the bottom, 2 sliders. You can lock the twist axis. Absolute phenomenal option. It is the heaviest contender in that $500 to $600 range, but you can get the Gladiator Space Combat Edition, which is one that everybody gets. You can get that for $135, or you get the Premium Edition, which adds like an extra hat for $165. And that is 100% the absolute best bang for the buck.
Dude, that's cheap.
When you're getting into it. It's phenomenal.
VKB is.
You get
Oh, go ahead. No.
Yeah, VKB is new. You get Hall sensors, you get quality product, and VKB was not big when the 3 of us started into DCS. VKB was a very small company. They were one-offs. They were more in for like the Star Citizen, flying outer space, but they started to transition to, Microsoft Flight Sim, DCS, things like that, because people were buying their space controllers and using them in that environment within, digital aviation.
That's because most Star Citizen players are DCS players, or vice versa. Like,
Yeah.
If you play one, you kind of play the other one. Like,
Yeah.
that's my other guilty.
If
That's my other
he's
guilty,
not
like,
in
self-loathing.
DCS, just check Discord. It'll say he's playing Star Citizen.
Star Citizen, yeah. Like, that's my other like self-loathing, like guilty pleasure.
That's your side, dude.
Dude, it's like I only pick games that absolutely just abuse the shit out of me. Like, it's
Well,
like if
feel
I'm not bending gear,
Dejected when I'm done playing. It's not good.
yeah, it's I have an affinity for toxic relationships. I hope my
So
wife doesn't
you
listen to
loved
this.
Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail was I used to show
I
up
had
to school.
dysentery.
I used to show up to school like an hour early just so I can go to the library and play Oregon Trail on the floppy.
You can play it
on the
now.
3.5
It's
inch.
online. There's an emulator. Yeah, I played it a few months
No,
ago.
really?
I made it through the end, but I lost one kid and a wife. So
It's God, it's so bad.
it's awesome.
At least you made it. You made it to the West Coast.
Yeah.
You made it. Yeah.
Well,
Way to just give away the plot of Yellowstone or 1920 or 1883.
Great show.
Yeah,
So like
I was watching Down Periscope before this.
Oh,
but-
Down Periscope's a classic. Good transition from Jimmy. He said these guys made sticks for a different game and it's transitioned into the flying world. Well, that's the same with the one we're going to talk about next. And that's Moza. Moza starts, and everyone knows Moza. It's a racing company,
These guys.
and they moved from racing and created a force feedback joystick. There are other force feedback options. There's the Rhino, but I don't know a lot about it. Heard great things. But both me and Jimmy fly on the Moza, and it has absolutely changed DCS. And I don't want to
well, before we jump on the Moza,
go ahead.
hold on. Before we jump on the Moza, we didn't cover wind wings because those are right there with like the VKB
Okay, yeah.
and everything like that. Wind wings are right in there. Because the best way to get a wing is to have friends who have Mozas, because that's pretty much how that works.
Hold on.
Is it on the way, Jimmy?
Is it?
You mean this?
Yeah. Like, yeah, hold on. It's got a scuff right there. I gotta wait.
Oh,
But
my bad.
yeah.
We'll return it.
But wind wings are
Yeah.
fantastic. Like, everybody always talks about how good wind wings are. Depending on who you are, because if you go into Hoggett and decide you want to get destroyed that day, like socially, go in there and talk about wind wings.
Dear Hoggett, I love Wind Wing.
Yeah, and then yeah, the autists come out. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so wind wings is definitely a good honorable mention as well. But I'll let you guys continue your Moza.
Oh, well, on to the Moza. Like I said, and I'm not trying to talk this thing up. This thing's outrageously expensive for a stick base. Not with a grip, not with throttles, just the stick base is $600. But I broke down and yeah, right. But I broke down and got it. And it if you can save up, or if you have the money, if you're willing to spend that much on a stick base, it changes DCS entirely. Totally different game. It's extremely sensitive. It's got huge range. It's got a lot of 9 and peaks at 12 newton meters of torque. So the force feedback's good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into the software and the details, but
It's easy. The software, I like just out of the box, plug it in, play it. The software is good.
it is good. I just I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on it. It is fairly user friendly. There's a couple things that I would change on it, but it works really well. The force feedbacks, if you fly a Hornet, I mean, you just set it up so it feels like there's centering spring. There's no detent, which makes it really nice. But if you fly something other than like the Hornet or the Viper, that's where this stick like shines. If you fly a helicopter, feeling the rotor moving in the stick and the trim actually working the way a helicopter's supposed to. And if you fly a Warbird and feeling the flutter over the ailerons or the elevator, I mean, when I just throttle up in a Warbird, I can feel the pressure in the stick change just from the prop hitting the elevator. They've modeled a lot of these Warbirds really well. But
you guys, when you realized that, when you guys got those things and you realized that, I didn't hear the end of that for like 2 weeks.
Because it's that impressive. It's really impressive.
You guys were
it is almost intoxicating. Let me ask you this then, Scott, because I am a huge. I didn't think I would be. I thought it was just gonna be cool and be like, oh, cool. But now that I have the Moza, like I don't think I could ever go away. It's like the VR versus flat panel thing. Like I don't think I could go back to flying a dead stick that just has a spring on it that makes it go to the center.
I feel the same way. I don't know that I could go back. It took some getting used to. It took a lot of tweaking to get each airplane to feel the way it's supposed to. But aside from the force feedback, it's how easy it is to fly. And it's hard to describe, but like with a centering spring in a helicopter, I'd have to move the stick out of the center a bit. And with the amount of range, because I've got a stick extension on my Moza that's a 9-inch or 6 inches high, 5 inches aft to make it work in my rig. So there's a ton of range of motion on the stick. And when I'm flying, I was flying the Apache with Wizard. And once I hit the trim button and got it trimmed where I wanted, I was flying the helicopter with my fingertips and I was moving the stick a millimeter or two. And I had all of the like sensitivity and range of motion with just barely moving the stick. And it's the same with the Warbirds. And it's the same with when I flew in real life in the T-38. You would barely have to move the stick, a quarter of an inch when you're flying like close formation, if less than that. This has finally replicated that without that centering spring and with the sensitivity in the stick. It feels more like a real airplane. So huge difference.
Let me, for our listeners, can you walk us through just what you feel taking off in a Warbird with the Thrustmaster versus what you feel taking off in Warbird with the Moza. Just walk us through, like,
Sure.
tell us one, then the next.
So with the Thrustmaster, the stick is already centered. And so because the stick has a centering spring, you look down, the stick in the airplane is centered. When I would get to a certain speed in the Warbird, I would push the stick forward against the centering spring to lower the nose. And then there was a definitive pull back against the centering spring to lift off. It felt like any joystick you'd fly with. When I do the same thing in the Moza, the stick falls aft in my lap because of the weight of the stick, because there's no force on the flight controls. The flight controls there's no force on them when you're not flying. As I throttle up, I can feel tension in the pitch axis because of the prop wash. As you accelerate, the stick starts building up forces in it, and it kind of like stands up on its own because of the air straightening out the elevator. And then that push forward is not a definitive push through a spring. It's just, I just kind of lean on the stick just a little bit with my hand. And then when I rotate to take off, it's a very smooth transition. It feels like I'm moving an elevator in the wind rather than moving a stick against a spring. And then on top of all that, you can feel the engine rumble in the stick. And you can feel when you stall, you can feel the ailerons flutter. You can feel a flutter in the left and right axis.
Yeah. You feel like everything.
So it makes it, I don't know, having flown a lot in real life in different airplanes, it's the first time that the flight sim has felt real in the flight controls, or at least this real. Now, there's some drawbacks to it, aside from the fact that it costs a fortune. It is the size of a damn car battery. So it is there. You have to come up with some sort of a mounting solution, because this thing is enormous. It is the size of a car battery. You can't.
It's a shoebox.
Yeah, it's huge. It's heavy. So you're gonna have to figure out, can you mount it? Can you mount it to your desk? You probably have to buy something to mount it to your desk. If you have a sim rig, both me and Jimmy had to 3D design and print mounting solutions, because it's not going to fit. The stick's not going to fit, so to speak, wherever you want to put it.
And then in the Discord, they were like taking pictures of it, being like, "This is what we did." #engineer life.
Oh yeah.
But
Duh. More like retired life.
Yeah, retired life.
Yeah.
What are you doing today? I don't know. I got to drink coffee, design some 3D shit,
For my video game career. What a life.
Film a podcast.
I will throw on there the Moza, just like the Verpal and the Warthog, all made up to the same stick. So that's nice. You can swap out.
Yeah, the same connectors. Yep. So you can carry over.
That's nice.
If there's not much more to delve in on this, then let's go through and give our recommendations.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Fifi.
I would say for ultra budget, that T-Flight HOTAS 1 was great. Under $100, T-Flight HOTAS 1 is fantastic for, like, for what it is, right? You'll definitely want to upgrade a little bit. And then, if you're still working off of pizza delivery man money, then no offense to me. But I would say the Sitec X52 and even the Sitec X56 is really good. The T1000 wasn't bad either. And that was, I think those are pretty good for under $200. I would say. I'm very pleased with what I got. Since.
Jimmy? Jimmy, talk budget, or where we at?
Just recommendation. However you want to get
recommendation. I think so. I have two levels of recommendation. If you're getting into DCS, if you're brand new to DCS, and you think you like the idea of spending money to play and immerse yourself, look at VKB. VKB, awesome sensor, awesome quality product, extremely cost friendly. The dollar per smile on the VKB is going to be much higher than other products out there. And then once you get in, I think what you do is you go VKB, you spend $135 because you get all those hats, you get all the sliders, you can do everything on that thing. And then you save if you love it. If it's something you want to do, you save and you get, the Moza, because on the market, there's absolutely nothing that competes with it now. Wind Wing is fantastic. I really enjoyed my Wind Wing. You can get Wind Wing with the shaker base, so you get that rumble. You can feel the prop. You can feel the guns, but it's not force feedback. Stick's awesome. Throttle's awesome. I can't say enough good about it. I think that Windwing makes the absolute best rudders at the time. But if I was going to give you my recommendation, it is Gladiator by VKB and then Moza. And then whatever throttle you like. Throttles are throttles. They move forward, they move backward. Just make sure you have a couple hats, couple switches. You could even, sit the T-Flight 1 beside you and still run the throttle off that, until you dive deep in the throttle end.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
My recommendation's the Warthog. Super high quality. It's going to last forever. The throttles are good. The stick is great. And then if you want to spend the money, the Moza is incredible. But if you don't want to spend that much money, then my recommendation is the Warthog. And it's modeled after the actual A10. So if you fly the A10, the buttons and switches are the exact same on the stick and throttle as they are
in the Viper.
The stick is, but not the throttle.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. As I was.
I think something that I think we didn't mention about the Moza that you kind of glossed over, and I think it's probably one of the coolest things I heard about it was how I remember, Scud, you were talking about it, about how you can set up that force feedback to like restrict the stick. So like, cause everybody kind of knows that the Viper flies off of like pressure, right? So it only moves like the actual stick in the actual Viper only moves like a 1/4 inch or something like that. And so like you can actually set the Moza up to do that.
Yeah. There's a few things like that
I think that's
stand
really cool.
out. Yeah. If you set up the Viper, it locks the stick in almost to center position. And it probably is a 1/4 inch if you don't have a stick extension. With the stick extension, it's about an inch worth of travel, and that's full deflection. And it's extremely sensitive around the center axis. So it does take just a little bit of hand pressure. It does its best to mimic that. I think probably one of the better areas where that stands out is in the F5. And the F5 has a roll limiter. So if you try to go full stick deflection in the F5, there's something that physically stops the stick. But if you really need the full roll, you can click a switch on the stick and it moves that lock and the stick moves even further. That's mimicked in the Moza. So like I'll go full stick deflection and I'll fill a stop, click a switch on the stick, and then all of a sudden the stick moves twice as far. So there's a lot of really like intricate things in the flight models in DCS that manifest in the stick. The F4 is probably the best airplane with the first feedback for the jets. You can feel the bob weight pulling the stick forward with G. You can feel the air pressure in the bellows for trim and aft stick pressure, like as you accelerate and decelerate. It's changed the F4 a lot. It's cool. That's cool. It's really neat. Yeah, but you have to spend the money, find a mounting solution. If you guys are looking for a stick extension, I'm going to throw out a business here.
Go to the Discord.
Yeah. If you guys are looking for a stick extension for any of these sticks, there's a place called QR4 Rigs out of the UK, and it's a 3D printed stick extension. And I 3D print all kinds of stuff myself, but I wasn't going to 3D print this because theirs is so high quality. The threads on the top where your grip connects are metal. The nut on the bottom to connect it to the base is anodized metal. They're strong, and the wiring in the middle is already integrated, so you don't have to figure out how to extend the wiring. And for a dude who 3D prints everything himself, paying for a 3D printed stick from this company, great, amazing. So if you're looking for one, I would go look there.
Fair enough.
What else you got for us, Fifi?
What? Yeah.
I got a note.
I don't know. We were talking all this Moza stuff, and you're just kind of like smiling at the camera. I wanted to throw it back at you.
I would just, because you know what I was doing? I was plotting. I was like, okay, so now I got to find the next coolest stick for you guys to upgrade to, so I can get a hand-me-down Moza.
Yeah, right.
I'm waiting. I'm gonna start sending Jimmy like sim pit things that he needs to buy, so that he can start.
That's dangerous.
His old sim pit piece by piece.
I don't want to belabor this, but I do have one more thing I'll throw out about the Moza.
Okay.
If you also play racing games, because the force feedback is throughout the range of the stick's motion, they have software for their racing stuff, for their wheels and other stuff. It taps into the AB9 Moza flight base and it becomes a gear shifter using the force feedback for the gates and the different gears. So you can do sequential 5-speed, 6-speed, 7-speed, dogleg reverse, non-dogleg reverse. And because it's force feedback, you can feel the engine rumble, and you can feel grinding gears if you're not on the right RPM. You can feel so if you fly and you also drive on the side, you're not just buying a $600 flight stick base, but you're also buying a $600 gear shift lever for your racing.
That's cool. That's cool.
With
but everybody,
with an F-16 grip on it.
I just realized I need to upgrade my Jeep now. So
oh, you need to go find like an aftermarket real flight stick and put it as a gear shift lever.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Jeep
I'll also
with
throw
an ejecto seat.
I'll also throw out something, and you guys can expound on this. If you are one of those unique individuals that don't want to fly fighter jets with a flight stick, and you want to be named because of your stickless ability to fly, we fly with a guy who goes by stickless, and he doesn't have a flight. He flies with a flight yoke, like Microsoft Flight Sim flight yoke, and it's one thing to lose in a dogfight against somebody, but it's a whole nother level of insult to get your ass kicked in a dogfight against the dude who's flying with a yoke. So I'm going to shout out to him, because the first time I fought him, he whooped my ass. And then I find out why they call him stickless. He's like, oh, I'm flying with the yoke. I'm like, God, damn, that's insulting.
I feel so. Remember we were making fun of him?
He can fly.
Him? We were making fun. We were hammering him because he wasn't holding position very well in formation flying.
Yeah.
And I realize now it's because he's flying a Cessna.
Yeah, he's flying with a Cessna yoke.
At Mach 1.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's good. But, yeah, I mean, so basically, everybody, there's no recommendations on sticks, cups, and balls. For
way to summarize it, bring it all back together.
Bring it all back together, right? Yeah. And strong nuts at the bottom.
It's called a review for the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and strong nuts at the base.
Strong nuts.
So, that's so weird. But so we haven't hit. We didn't hit my goal of 50 subscribers for the giveaway, so that's still up for grab. I feel terrible because we can't get 50 subscribers.
We're at 40 now.
I think we're at 40, right?
Yeah, 41. The last time I checked.
That's a big deal
on YouTube.
So,
I don't know how many people are subscribed on other platforms.
I only see the downloads on other platforms. I don't see that. So everybody, like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord, do all that kind of stuff. And again, we still have the giveaway going on. I'm probably gonna up the ante, and I'll probably set, I'll throw a track IR and a HOTAS setup. I'll throw.
We're at 41.
41. Yeah. There it is. So I will throw a full get into DCS kit for you, and you can send it to your friends. You can do all that kind of stuff. This is something we want to grow so we can be able to give away better stuff later on.
Gooder stuff.
More gooder stuff.
Mo gooder.
And if we get enough people, I'll even throw in a dog, because he's apparently
at 2,000 you get a dog.
Yeah, 2,000 you get a dog. You get this dog. He's being needy.
He was walking back and forth a minute ago.
Yeah. Right. So his name is Roscoe P. Coltrane. Is his name.
Yes.
Roscoe P. Coltrane.
And he likes to try to fight black bears through the window of when they come into our neighborhood. But yeah, he's psycho. But so anyways, yeah. So next episode, I say we get into story times. There was a really cool discussion in the Discord about people wanting to hear a couple things about what we used to do. We'll talk about what we can talk about, because I know some of our aspects of our careers we really can't talk about.
Our exploits.
Yeah, our exploits. All the some of the stupid stuff and the cool stuff that we did, and I think that'll be kind of fun. Get away from all this nerdy techie stuff for once, and kind of give the people what they want. So think about your favorite story, your favorite stupid story. I have to think of one that didn't contribute to my naming, but it's a lot of my things contributed to my naming. So I'll have to. I'll probably end up telling everybody about how I got stuck in the desert during a red flag one time, but
A rest cap?
Yeah, you know. So I'll tell my Reds cap story because everybody's got one. So,
Yeah. That'll be
but,
fun. And we're doing this because people are talking in the Discord and telling us what they want to hear. So join them, get on the Discord, and help us help you with the content.
help us help you.
It's
Yeah.
only one click away. The link's like everywhere. Just click on it. Be like, yo, what up? I'm here. I have arrived.
Yeah,
exactly. So, yeah, with that, I'm cool. Thanks everybody for showing up. Our first video broadcast. It's awkward as hell.
No, this
I like
is
it. I like
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we can watch each other roll our eyes at each other. So.
Oh no, you gotta go like this. Oh, I didn't roll my eyes.
You didn't see it. Yeah, we didn't see it. The glove didn't fit.
Oh, excuse me. I gotta sneeze. You're covering your eyes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. All right, everybody. We appreciate you guys coming around. And until next time, see you next week.